So the fact that President Biden is still going to Israel means that he sees value in appearing in Jerusalem alongside Israeli officials. Now, there's two parts to that. One is he's going there to show solidarity with America's closest ally in the region, and that's going to look really bad. And that's going to look really bad because the striking of the hospital last night that led to hundreds and hundreds of civilians dying is something that has really set off emotions even further and deeper across the region in ways that I've never seen before in my lifetime. The amount of anger that is spreading across the region right now as a result of that attack is really quite extraordinary. And and everybody thinks that it's the Israelis through an Israeli strike that carried out that attack. Of course, the Israelis are saying otherwise, but considering the Israelis have been talking about the fact that everything is as a legitimate target, if they suspect that there's anything to do with Hamas. And they've mentioned hospitals and how hospitals need to evacuate and so on quite a few times over the past week. So, I don't think it's unreasonable that a lot of people are convinced that it is actually an Israeli strike. So that's the negative aspect. The positive aspect is that I don't think that Israel is going to launch its ground offensive as long as Biden is en route, nor when he's actually there. So the offensive or the further escalation of the offensive has been delayed. It's not about bad weather. It's down to international pressure. It's down to the presence of international political figures, including President Biden. So the ground offensive, the escalation of it has been delayed. And I think that's good. I think that as long as you have those sorts of windows of opportunity, there's a possibility for brokering some kind of ceasefire where the Israelis cease their bombardment, we get humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip, and we find some way to de-escalate.
Let me ask you about the possibility for more widespread regional involvement. For the past week, daily, there's been speculation as to whether or not Hezbollah, the paramilitary group based in the southern part of Lebanon, is going to get drawn into the war as well. And so far, there have been a few skirmishes, but Hezbollah have stopped short of getting fully involved. Today, they're calling for a day of rage in protest at the attack or the explosion that occurred at the hospital within Gaza. To your mind, is this going to be the breaking point? Is this going to be the catalyst for broader regional involvement in what's happening?
All bets are off. Let's be really clear here. At the moment, of course, the Israelis are disputing that it was an Israeli strike that led to the complete destruction of the Al-Ahli hospital in Gaza. Again, they're going to have to show incredible proof of that because as of right now, I don't think the region en masse, political leaders, public opinion, I don't think the region will take it seriously because there have been many times in the past where Israel has denied responsibility, said they're doing an investigation, and in the end they admit that they did it, but they don't hold anybody accountable. A clear case in point, Shireen Abu Akleh, Palestinian-American journalist who was killed by Israeli fire. They completely denied it. Then they said there's an investigation. Then they said, yes, we did it, but nobody was really held responsible for it. So I think right now what you see is a region that really is convinced, and it's going to take quite a bit for it not to be convinced that it was Israeli fire. The idea that it's a rocket from Palestinian Islamic Jihad or another militant group at the moment seems incredibly dubious because the amount of firepower that would be necessary is quite significant. And I'm not sure that we've seen any rockets from the Palestinian militant side that would be able to carry that out. So everything's possible, of course, but I think that it's going to take a lot to get the region to believe that actually this wasn't an Israeli strike, especially considering all the language that has been coming out of the Israelis over the past 10 days, which doesn't really distinguish between Palestinian civilians and combatants. The Israeli president made it very clear a few days ago that he regarded not only Hamas, but an entire nation responsible for what happened last Saturday in Israel. And you have the far right present in the Israeli government that says all sorts of things about Palestinians that are quite shocking. So, it's going to be very difficult. So in that regard, all bets are off. I do think that there is a rationalization process underway among all powers in the region. And what I mean by that is that Hezbollah is not looking to get itself embroiled into a conflict that can lead to mass destruction of southern Lebanon. Neither is Iran in terms of escalation that would cause a massive price for them. I think they calculate very carefully about what they're about to do. Why, as you say, there have been skirmishes, but I think both the Israelis and Hezbollah are keen not to let this go beyond a particular point.